Hello and good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever, whenever you see this. Excuse me. So tonight's gonna be a quick little mini self-read question mark. Um, because I got off way late and I don't have it in me to sit here for 3 hours. Trying to break down whatever, whatever. Watch me still be here for 3 hours. No. Also, my overhead light is on, so it's looking a little extra bright, but that's fine. Thank you again, Steph, for gifting me this deck. For as afraid of, for as much fear, I guess, as I had around this deck, I love it. I mean, it's Kim Cran, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm like, okay, I like really, really, really dig this deck. And so we'll see. I guess the end of Mercury retrograde has been interesting because I feel like in the past 2 days, and I guess it hit especially hard today. It not like hit hard, but it was really on my mind today because I had the idle time, I guess, to sort of think about it because I wasn't occupying my time by like trying to watch YouTube or Netflix and catch up on all the stuff that I missed during the week. But the thing that came to my mind is how so much, I guess, of the challenge and so much of the difficulty that I've been through in the past, 4 years since 2022, almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in a month from tomorrow. Um, how much it's almost sort of like led me to this exact spot to be positioned to, I guess I'll say, take certain opportunities or to experience certain possibilities. And it's kind of wild. And I don't know, it humbles me, I guess. It makes me really grateful. Makes me feel like somebody somewhere is giving me a smile, like, I told you it would be worth it. And you haven't even, like, really started experiencing it yet. I'm like, ooh, y'all was right. Uh, but I guess I find myself both sort of returning to old plans or previous pathways, but also like with a new twist or something. I don't know. It's really nice though. So that's why I'm just gonna pull a few cards, and hopefully this will be at the longest 45 minutes. Even though 45 minutes is still kind of pushing it because it's already midnight. I'm actually gonna get this card last. I'm gonna start with hopefully one animal because one animal seems to be about. I guess depending on the animal, seems to be about the limit of what I can handle. And we'll just see. We'll just see. I feel like I was gonna say more, but I'm tired. The crocodile and the owl. The crocodile with the shark at the bottom of the deck. Crocodile and shark. Oof. Da-da. Shark actually came out yesterday? Was that yesterday was when I did right? Was that yesterday? When I did the Yarna and the World and the Wheel of Fortune. When I did Yarna and Fane. Yarna Fane or Fane Yarna. I don't know how many of these I'm gonna get, but The crocodile is the one that waits in the deep, right? The owl. See, with the crocodile and the owl, it's reading like there's a wisdom in waiting and like biding your time, like stocking up for the winter, what have you, right? And like I've said, through all of the difficulty, through all of the challenge, like I've wanted, I've entertained the thought and idea of leaving, but I've never really felt like it was what I was supposed to do to the world. And I can very much see um, why I was led to feel that way. The Seven of Cups with the Ace of Swords at the cut. Ooh, that's some clarity. Love that. Six of Pentacles with that Ace of Swords. Love that. Oh my gosh. Wow. The Six of Pentacles in this deck in particular, but also in general, for me meant something. I forgot that the Six of Pentacles meant to me justice at the bottom of the deck. I forgot that the Six of Pentacles meant to me what it meant to me. That's wild. This also makes me think of, because the world is here in this, the wisdom in waiting. Because the crocodile waits, the owl is wisdom. And with the world here, it reminds me of that, allow the world to be rewritten. And then I was like, I see your allow the world to be rewritten, and I raise you, rewrite the world. It's also interesting, I guess. I feel like something significant has been happening for a good maybe month now. And I don't, I would say I don't always get it, but I think I kind of do. Not always. I don't know. It's been an interesting time. I don't want one more. Is that it? Oh, I'll take both of those cards because the one on top of the Five of Wands almost lit off. The Magician and the Four of Pentacles. Excuse me. The Father of Swords, I saw him at the, I think he was at the bottom of the deck earlier. The Empress and the Four of Pentacles. Anything for this side of the world? Oh, no. No. Not. Oh, gosh. I mean, the Nine of Cups is on the top. I feel like I have to take it. This Five of Pentacles is on the bottom again. This Five of Pentacles is interesting. This is a lot of cards. Oh, I'll take them. Five of Wands, Ten of Swords. I feel like this Five of Wands and the Ten of Swords, it's like when we go through difficult moments, we don't always sort of know what they're going to lead to. And in times of intense pain or in times of grief, it's easy to be lost in it so that we don't see anything outside of that pain or whatever the emotion is when we're lost in an emotion. And with the Five of Wands coming after this Ten of Swords, it's like it reads as very like the easiest way to say it is like God works in mysterious ways. Uh, but it's just like, we don't know. And we can try to make sense of things as they happen, and we can try to focus on the bigger picture or look at whatever we think might be going on. But it's like without the totality, like there's no way for us to know, basically. And so I am mostly of a mind to live life and find out, right? And if there's a reason, like I'm also of a mind to create reasons. Um, and in that, it's like if everything doesn't happen for a reason, then I will find a reason. And I feel like I really came into that, was that a year and a half ago? Was that about April 2020? I mean, it was March and then it went into April. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. But it's like even if everything doesn't happen for a reason, I will find a reason. And that's when I started to grow closer to, I guess, my shadow. And that's when I allowed my shadow to be more than what I thought it was before that, and more than what I've heard of a lot of the shadow being. Now, I got into like tarot and stuff. I mean, like, I guess I've only really been on my journey for 3 years now, almost. I think I said four earlier. Well, my darkest night was October, the end of October 2018. But it wasn't until like 2019 that I was like, I'm gonna do everything I need to do. So it kind of like the soft opening was like mid November or early November 2018, but like the grand opening was 2019, January 1st. Um, almost forgot where I did forget where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. Why was I talking about my journey? Oh yeah, yeah. Like my journey. Hey KT, how you doing? It hasn't been very long, but I feel like I got into like tarot and everything like late into my journey. And I guess by late into my journey, like I was already fairly established within myself. And I already had a feeling of what my journey would be before I got into everything else. Like before I even ordered my first deck, for me, it was like this is it. Like if you get cards, that's it. You're not getting into like candles and magics and rituals and like the whole whatever. Like it never really felt like, well, at the beginning it was like it's not for you. Like don't even get into it. So that's why I don't like even when I followed astrology, I didn't super follow like lunation cycles, and I never did like a full moon, new moon, anything because it's just not really for me. Just like crystals and stuff, just like not really for me. I've gotten a few and I gotten a few more because I want to support, a local store, but they never really resonated to me in that way. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. And so, why did I say all that? I forget where I was going with that. Why I was like, I got into like tarot and stuff fairly late in my journey. I don't remember. Like I got the cards at the beginning, but I didn't start like watching other readers and like really getting into like anything until I was fairly well established within myself. So like January, February, I meditated so much. In my room, I was like couldn't pay rent. I had taken a semester off because I needed to like get myself together. I was literally like a month and a half out from graduation in 2018, and everything fell apart because I wasn't ready. Um, you're doing a lot of meditating as well, you feel? I honestly like, I feel like I don't even really meditate as much anymore, which is why, like, when I turned on that remove negativity, whatever, and I found that place of peace that I established within myself, I was like, oh, I forgot about this. I forgot this was here. Like, I meditated so much in that point in time that, like, I felt like I was able to just, like, connect to that, like, that space. Almost like it was a feeling, and I could just, like, find the feeling. Uh, so, anyway, I became of the mind. Oh, yeah, yeah. Because I was talking about my shadow. I didn't really, because like I got into like YouTube like fairly, I feel like fairly late into my journey, and like although it was like pretty early, because that would have been what, I think like May is when I started to get into like YouTube, and that was just like the astrology side, and then I eventually from astrology YouTube found my way to like tarot YouTube, and that was like I feel like July, August, I was starting to get more into tarot YouTube. And that's when I started meeting some people. I think K2, I met you. Well, that would have been around maybe October, November, maybe of 2019. So, anyway, the reason why I said all that was because, like, I didn't have a lot of other people telling me, like, what the shadow is. And so I didn't necessarily have, like, that perception of my shadow. Um, but it was like, and it was again, it was like one of those moments where I had to experience what I was experiencing to really understand. Because it was almost like it wasn't until that like abandonment wound was triggered that I was like, I'm not going to do that to myself. Like, I'm not going to abandon my shadow just like other people, like how I feel some other people have abandoned me. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm gonna like pull it closer, and that's when my relationship with my shadow like turned. It took a whole nother level. Woo. And then there were some points in times where I wish my shadow was still my shadow. Because sometimes I feel like I would get like a little down or whatever. My shadow would be like, you need to pick yourself up because you told me, you promised me better. And this is what we were doing before. So you're not just gonna sit around and mope or whatever. You're gonna get up and you're gonna do something. I was like, oof, okay, all right, well, let's go. And it was like there was a whole bunch of stuff I just like couldn't blame my shadow for anymore. Cause like that's how the whole thing started. I was like, ooh, like I want to get angry. I want to be mad. Let's get bitter. Come on, shadow. And my shadow was like, no, because I cared too. Because I loved too. And so you're not gonna put it all on me. I was like, oof. Shadow was like, if you're gonna do this, this is you deciding to do this. And I was like, oof. I should have left you unhealed. I'm just playing. I never went that far. Um, but that was the time when I was like, even if something doesn't happen for a reason, I'm going to find a reason. And I guess it served me pretty well. I found reasons, and then I feel like now again, with everything sort of happening and unfolding in the ways that they're unfolding, I can understand more now why I went through some of the things that I went through and why I healed in some of the ways that I healed, because like all of that led me to become the person that I am right now. And the person that I am right now is aligning to something that I really, really want. And it's because I want it and because the door is open that I'm really like, wow, like all of that was really necessary. It's because of all of that that I can really be in this Nine of Cups energy because of the Ten of Swords. Nine of Cups, the Chariot, the Wheel of Fortune, the Five of Swords, the Fool, and the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, ending with the Ace of Cups, that's when I was like, oof, and y'all can't see any of this. Let me see. I'm going to try to do one of these. Hey! There you go. You can see my little leg. Oh, other way, other way, other way. There we go. Nine of Cups, the Chariot, the Wheel of Fortune, Five of Swords, the Fool, and the Ace of Cups. I guess we'll put the Ace of Cups here. It'll wrap back around under the world. The Chariot in this deck is, I think, one of the most interesting because there's only one horse and there's no person driving the chariot. How would I guess, interpret this? The Nine of Cups is the space of everything that I feel like the Nine of Cups. I love the moon in this Nine of Cups because the Nine of Cups is the card of like a wish being granted, right? But with the moon there, it's like things that you desire that you don't even know that you want. And those are also being granted and fulfilled. With the Chariot, though, not only does it require movement, but it acquires a sort of or a certain alignment between the internal and the external because the moon is on like the forehead of the horse in the chariot and the sun is what's above, as above so below, as within so without. I think the Wheel of Fortune and the Five of Swords is this point of like bringing the within without, or it's holding the within strong enough to allow it the time to like materialize in the without. And sometimes it can be like a little extreme. Sometimes it's very like, no, this is not going to be my experience. I refuse for this to be my experience. And sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's the opposite. And then when it's the opposite, sometimes it is. I'm going to look before and after the Ten of Wands. Hey, Holly. Hope you're doing well tonight. Hope the emails don't take too long to go through. Oh, look, the sun behind that Five of Pentacles. Love it. The reason why I'm going to go for the Ten of Wands is because the Wheel of Fortune and that Five of Swords. There was a point in time when I was like, I don't care if I have to Ten of Wands my journey. I'm going to do it because this is something that I want. until I lived enough life and found out that was something that maybe I did not want. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. And then the Father of Swords behind that. Father of Swords, Father of Cups, Daughter of Wands at the top of the deck. The Ten of Wands. On one side, it's the Two of Wands. On the other side, it's the Eight of Wands. Like, this is the 10 that I feel like I'm getting in now rather than this one, where it's like, I don't care if I'm going to unnecessarily burden myself. This is something that I want and I'm going to get it. I'm very stubborn. I embrace the Taurus within me. And I also embrace the Pisces in me. I embrace. I think that's another thing that I've really experienced on my short journey. It feels like it's been long but short at the same time. Like, I feel like I've had different time periods within my journey to like work with different planetary energies within my chart. Like, I feel like um was it May? May, June, July 2020 is what really activated that like Sag North Node, Chiron and Leo, Venus and Aries. My fire grand trine, I guess, and the air one. Fire and air came on at that point. Uh, I guess if there's any that I haven't necessarily, or that I don't feel I've necessarily like worked out yet, maybe Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, yeah. And not just because I'm in my Saturn return still. But my Uranus and Neptune are conjunct 20 degrees Capricorn. My Jupiter is in Libra, squaring, loosely squaring that Uranus, Neptune, and Capricorn, opposing my Venus in Aries, and in a tight in a tighter square with my Mars in Cancer. So that's the cardinal square in my chart. Venus in Aries, Mars in Cancer, Jupiter in Libra, Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. I wonder what a Uranus trine will be like. I'll be having like a Neptune sextile Uranus trine. Anyway. It's almost like with this Ten of Wands, I guess. There's something, it's almost like with this Eight of Wands here, there's something that gets illuminated. There's something that I now see. There's something that I experience. And then that causes me to want to shift, change, move in a different direction with this Two of Wands. It's very like Marco Polo, this up here. So this was very like Marco Polo. Um, and then with the Fool and the Ace of Cups, this is slash was certain resistances that I had to let go. that I'm kind of sort of in some ways still letting go. Less letting go. I think it's pretty solidly let go. I say that until something happens and then I'm right up again. But I've been working on that. That's something I've been working on for the past month or so, maybe for the past few weeks. I think I'm getting pretty good at it. Thanks to the help of a friend, of a few friends actually, my journey buddy, Reem. I think my journey buddy and Reem are like, and my mom, I guess, are the only people that I've really talked about that with. But yeah, it's so just like interesting, I guess. Let's get one of these. What is it for? I feel like I want one for like the past and then one for the now. So the one for the past, if I could please get one card for the past. These are like kind of difficult to shuffle. Oh, I ain't trying to like bend them. That's molybdenum. Molybdenum. Oh, the Ouroboros at the cut. Of course, the Ouroboros is at the cut. Is this going to be? Oh, there's 3 cards here. No, I'm not taking them. Oh, the Ouroboros is in my hand. Maybe I will take them. I could do one for every year. So what's that? Are we starting with 18? Sure. 19, 20. So let's get 21 and 22. Shall we? I need 2 more, please. For 21 and 22. Okay. That's 21. I'll take you for 22. Why not? Xanthosis. That's interesting because every time I go into the book, I see that. Xanthosis is the yellowing. Leucosis is the whitening. 13, 14. And then the beyond. What do I have to look forward to? I guess I could have just taken the one at the bottom of the deck. But it's fine. Ooh. Who is it? Who is it? Sacrum, sugar. Ooh, the sweetness. I'm gonna be nice again, y'all. And it's interesting because I feel like I've been sort of like a little less chili peppery, but I've been having some real chili pepper realizations, question mark, thoughts, question mark. I'm just like, oof, well. Well, well, well. Bottom of the deck is Encreatum, the uncreated. What does the uncreated mean? Oh my gosh. I had a dream. I had a dream. I told Eve about it. Well, anybody who follows me on the other channel, I guess I talked about the dream over there. But anyway, is the uncreated like something that was created that's then uncreated, or is it the thing that's not yet created? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of uncreated are we going? What? There's 2 cards. Darn it. Eris, copper, and sacrum, sugar. Copper, sugar. Like rock candy? 28. Oops. 2018. Lead. Plumum. Or plumbum. Oh, look, Saturn. Is that Pisces? No. Is that Pisces? It looked like Pisces and it's looking like Saturn. And is that Jupiter? What's Jupiter? No, Jupiter is like. Jupiter is the 21. Yeah, that's not Jupiter. That's just Saturn without a bar. 19 was argentum, silver. 20 is autumnus, autumn. Oh, look, 20 and then 19. 21 was leucosis, lightening. 22, xanthosis, yellowing. Let's get into it. Why not? Just to see what all of this is about. 18, plumum lead, number 20. Are these separated in some ways? I don't know. I ain't really read the book too much besides just like using these. Density, weight, and Saturn. Yeah, that was when I had my darkest night, 2018. Lead is the first metal. Its properties are heavy, dense, and unwaveringly steady. It is often perceived as the metal that initiated the entire alchemical drive to turn what is base into what is noble. Literally, my darkest night, what kicked off this whole thing. Lead. Started the entire process for me. How fitting. It correlates to the planet Saturn and its love of rules and structure. On one hand, this card implies a fixed position or burden that may be weighing down the work. On the other hand, lead can arrive just in time to ground a situation, to bring an alchemist back to the humble beginnings. Either way, the presence of lead is sobering. We cannot ignore it. The impatient alchemist may be discouraged to see it in the laboratory, as it reminds us of how far we have to go. Approach this card with reverence for the ongoing process. Next, 2019 was Argentum, number 25. And yeah, I mean, that feels pretty like 2019, it was intense. I had, what, the first 5 months of the year from January to May, I was starving in my apartment, thankful to the universe and loved ones for helping me get my rent paid. And it was funny because I remember thinking like, oh, I need to get a job, I need to work. But I was like, my excuse was always that during the semester I'm too busy with school. And when I'm not in school, I'm working. So I never have time to address the things that I need to address within myself. And every time I would feel a little bit like I really need to start doing something, like I need to apply, I need to start doing whatever, it was like, remember like how you always said that you were too busy to take care of what you needed to take care of. This is the time for you to take care of what you needed to take care of. And so one of the things that really helped me was, I think it was, like I said, I wasn't into like YouTube at that point. I really wasn't. But there was one thing that I did see. Hold up, wait. Was that YouTube or was that Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt? Hold up. Well, one of the things that helped me when I was like nearing wits end at some points, it was like in this moment right now. Like, is anyone busting down the door telling me I need a GTFO because my rent isn't paid? No. In this moment right now, am I literally dying because my belly is that empty? No. So, because none of that is happening right now, I can find peace in this moment. Wow, I never knew that procrastination would sort of like come to like save me or help me. I was like, I can procrastinate the freak out and I can choose to find peace in this moment. And again, like thankfully, towards the end, it was getting like really close. But thankfully, I was able to make it, and I was able to like I said, I meditated a lot in that point in time. Um, and I guess there were some things within me that I found at that point in time that wouldn't really make sense until later in the journey. And it was interesting because it was like it was there at the very beginning and then it just like went away. And then after some time, it came back. I kind of went looking for it. It kind of came back into the fold. So yeah, Argentum, lunar, reflective, and chrome. I like that reflective piece because that's what a lot of early 2019 was. Literally looking at all of the things that I was too afraid to. I faced my depression head on. And for me, that's how like my depression worked. I'm not saying it worked that way for everybody. There were certain things in my life that I was actively, consciously avoiding. And so like I knew what to go like and face. It wasn't mysterious. I didn't have to go digging for it. When I was in therapy, I told dude exactly what was up. And he was like, wow, like you seem pretty self aware. And also, you seem like you don't really care because you're just, he was like, the way you're talking about it is like you're talking about somebody else. I'm like, well, I have been like having this whole mental conversation basically my whole life. So at this point, it's not that there aren't any emotions, but like I'm just telling you the effed up logic and reason behind why I'm doing the not great things that I'm doing to myself. Eventually, we work through it though. Anyway, amidst its upper echelon status, silver shines eternally in second position. It is the lesser sibling, the one that's not quite there yet. A true alchemist does not resist this truth, but rather studies its subtle implications and its wisdom. Silver requires polishing, or the surface tarnishes over time. Mirrors require cleaning, or the image clouds and distorts. Whereas gold sustains its own malleable radiance, silver asks for our participation. We must work at it. Don't give up now. Silver wants to build relationships, like the moon, a mirror, or a poem. Let it reflect on let it reflect an image back. With an open heart and one more moment of willingness, the seemingly cold, stark surface of silver opens into the imaginal realm. What is there? Your own vastness? The mysteries that beckon you on moonlit nights? Through our daily devotion to silver, we find the truest gold. So the first half of it was, like I said, all of that self stuff. Well, yeah, that's about half. And then after May, that's when I got a summer job. So from May to like August was like me in a way like leaving the hermit cave and reintroducing myself to the world. And I had my journey buddy there for that. And there will be like so many times where she's like, Patrick, like you already know this. Like Patrick, you already discovered this. Like you already know what to do. And I'm like, yeah, but like when you live in real life, sometimes you forget. Or I forgot. Which is again why I made integrate one of my words. I think integrate was my word for 2020 because I was like, there are so many things that I learn and I learn and I learn and I like relearn and lessons that I revisit. Like I want to just like incorporate it into me so when it comes up, I know what to do. I don't have to keep relearning the same thing. And then my word for 2021 was unbelievable. What's my word? Oh yeah, my word for 2022 is allow. That's my word this year, which is interesting because I feel like it's really coming into play. Just accept it. So 2020, no, that was 2019. 2019 was the silver. 2019 was the polishing the mirror. 2019 was a period of heavy reflection. 2019 is the when I discovered that like there were reasons behind why I did a lot of what I did, or there were reasons behind why I made certain choices and decisions that I made. And those some of those reasons masked other things. So when I worked on the reason, like for example, I was like working on a whole bunch of stuff and it was like I think early March or mid March. I think it was around spring break time, I think. I was home for a little bit and I was like, "Mom, I think I have relationship anxiety." And she was like, "What? You're just now finding that out?" Like she was like, "You didn't know that?" I was like, "No, because I always had a reason to not be in a relationship." But now that those reasons like don't exist as much, I'm still terrified, or I'm still feeling this way or that way. And that kicked off a whole set of experiences, a whole few experiences. Um, yeah. And I got a read from a buddy at the end of March. And it's funny because a year later, around around the same time, it was like the end of March, I think, in 2019, and then I think it was like mid March 2020. I got another reading from him, and like the same cards came out. Um, I was like, what? But it was like from a different perspective. You know what I mean? Like two of the same cards. Oh, I think the King of Cups was the card that like came out, and I feel like there was another card too. Anyway, uh, so yeah, like that was one of the things that I discovered under other like traumas or other pains or other whatever. I thought it was linked to tied to one thing. Turns out kind of yes, but it's also like still an issue. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's work through that then. And so we did. Now, 2020, number 19, autumnus. Oh, the 22 materials. Oh, autumnus is the end. The end of what? What are you the end of? The seasons? Yeah, the four seasons. Autumnus is the culmination, the broad view, and generosity. Excuse me. In alchemical terms, autumn is the denouement of Earth's grand narrative. It is the symbol of culmination, harvesting, and resolution. The story of our year finds closure, and we begin to look toward the horizons of the next one. It is likely this card will appear as an indicator of efforts culminating, of hard work paying off, of fruit hanging low for the taking. Gratitude and generosity are the spirit of the season, so share the wealth of your fortune. Looking back, you realize many hands and hearts have helped you along the way. Holding tight to your bounty won't do you any good. The alchemist shares their wisdom and wealth. They offer their boons back to the world as part of the ongoing cycle. Be like an autumnal tree, come to fruition and then release. And it's interesting that it said something about like what sharing with the world or whatever, because 2020 is when I really started like sharing a lot of my own personal truths, I guess, and thoughts and opinions and everything. Like I said, um, late May, June, July 2020 is when the all the Chili Peppers started coming out. That's when North Node Sagittarius was a thing, and because I was working on my North Node in Sagittarius, I kind of sort of had to, by sheer virtue of my North Node in Sagittarius, resolve some of that Chiron in Leo. Uh, Earlier in that year, that's when like my Venus kicked in, but I think my Venus also sort of kicked in a different way. It did. Um, and my Venus is in Aries, so I don't have one of those like soft Venuses. It's just like, yeah, my Venus is like, whew. But my Mars is in Cancer, so it's like, you know, it balances out, I guess. They're both in places that they don't like to be, but and they square each other, but and they oppose slash square Jupiter, but they love it. There's a balance that I've maintained. And it's interesting because, like, when I first got into astrology, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm so all over the place, blah, blah, blah. But it's really been within, like, I feel like since 2020, maybe. Maybe more recently than that. Maybe since, like, 2021. I've come into an appreciation of how my chart is, like, laid out. Because my planets are so spread out, it's like there's almost always something aspecting something. But it also gives me a nice balance and it gives me other energies to work with, especially if I can be a little bit more like sort of conscious in the moment. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm having trouble in Taurus, let's say My moon in Taurus got me feeling extra set on a certain thing. What's something else I can use? What Uranus and Capricorn, that trine can like bust up that fixed earth so that I can be open to a new way. My Neptune conjuncting that in Capricorn can really like flesh it out. And when it gets big enough, it can sextile over to my sun in Pisces and it can pull that in. And then, eventually my Mars in Cancer will come in. It's like, okay, yeah, let's move over there. Anyway, I don't know if that's entirely how that works, but 2020 was definitely a culmination. And it's funny because that culmination in and of itself, it was like another initiation. It was almost like, oh, now that you have all of these pieces, here is the stage for you to use them. Here are some triggers that will get you to do stuff. I'm like, oof, okay, well. And then in 2021, it's number 13, leucosis. Lightening. It's perfectionism, facade, and hesitation. The stage of leucosis is a complex topic in alchemy. On the one hand, it represents purification of the materials. On the other hand, it's the phase in which the alchemist may mistake the work as complete. On the surface, everything seems perfect, pristine, well thought through, and quite complete. In actuality, the alchemist has been tricked by their own facade of perfection. Their work has hardly begun. Righteousness and fear are the great errors of leucosis. This card arrives to remind us to get our hands dirty. No one is separate from or above anyone else. Rather, every alchemist is a kid in the laboratory, tinkering away with the elements of their life. No more fretting over your next move, fearing how others will perceive you. It's time to crack open, become who you are. The world needs your true colors. What was 2021? Well, a year ago ish is when I got this job. What was early 2020? I feel like 2021 saw me really like shift and migrate in like, I guess, the communities that I found myself in. And I think that was somewhat in no small part due to 2020. But I think in 2021 that was really like this full Ace of Cups, or maybe more of the Five of Swords and the full Ace of Cups. I think that's when some things were starting to get a lot deeper. And that's when I started to encounter some resistance. Like, oof, I ain't trying to do this. I ain't trying to do that. That's a lot. I think the facade to. Did somebody ask me? I feel like it came up. I don't think so. Not necessarily specifically. But like one of the things that's like important for me is that this isn't my whole life. Like I'm very much down to muggle, like very much so down to like be in the world and connect with people outside of this space. Very much so interested in a balance. I am. And so the path that I want isn't necessarily one like I do still. It's not that I necessarily want to work, but the 9 to 5 is something that is very appealing to me. Because again, for the balance, you know what I mean. But I think it's a little like hold up, what was the beginning of 2021? A little downplaying a little bit. I think so too. This was like, there was this idea that I had of myself. Because, like, this culmination here signified, it was like all of this stuff coming in. It was like using everything that I had learned to that point. But there was more about myself, I guess, that I needed to be open to and that I needed to discover. In 2021, especially towards the end of the year, because of that job, saw me like really, like, it force slash gave me the opportunity to almost like stop hiding behind old fears, um, in a way that was very sort of reminiscent to and connected to the 2018 Darkest Night. Because, like, November 2021, that's when I was like, I haven't been triggered like this since my Darkest Night in 2018. Oh my gosh, what's happening? And I guess it was some ways like playing small, in other ways like not really allowing myself to like fully hatch. Um, and maybe this, we'll read this Xanthosis. Xanthosis, aging, transitioning, warning. Indicating transition, the yellowing leads us into the next phase of our alchemical work. Envision the yellowing as pages of a beloved novel or the ochre blanket of leaves in fall. This color seeps out to signify the beginning of the end, a return to zero. Even a deep bruise finds a yellow tint as it reaches its final phases of healing. In contrast, yellow can be the marker of long awaited growth. As seen in the first rays of the sun and the cheer of Forsythia in February. Whatever its message, yellowing tells the truth. It leads us forward, like the vibrant canary in the mine, warning of what's to come. Take heed. The transition is here, whether by yolk or bile. How to respond is up to you. It's likely you already know. Ooh, the transition. Ooh, and I feel like that's something that I talked about too a lot. And I think, like, honestly, opening up this year, it was a lot of like, I'm really just gonna have to use my voice, huh? I'm really just gonna have to speak up, huh? I'm really just gonna have to be a menace and not allow myself to just be steamrolled or whatever. That's something that I don't know if I would have been able to do had it not been for all of that stuff prior to it. Um, what else? There was also a part in here as it reaches its final phases of healing. That deep bruise is interesting. The marker of long awaited growth. That, because, like, and I've talked about this, I feel like every time I get on this topic, I mean, there have been moments and there have been times before this year where I've really been able to like step out on my healing, I guess, or where I've been able to like do things that I previously wasn't able to do. But I think, like, from the top of the year, that's been like a thing. It's like it's time to like do. It's time to prove. And I think I said like the first phase of my Saturn return, or like earlier in this year, it was like I earlier this year, like, I realized all the ways that I held myself back. And was it earlier this year? I think it was earlier this year. And it wasn't, it was either earlier this year, earlier, it was within this year and last year. At some point, I realized like I had always had this narrative in my mind that like nothing that I ever did would be good enough. And I always thought it was because of my mom. But one day I'm just in here chilling on my bed and probably like watching Netflix or playing a game. Well, I don't think I was playing a game. Probably just like watching Netflix or maybe not even doing nothing. And it was just like it's not like you like I realized that it was me. I was the reason why I felt that like nothing I ever did would be good enough. And it was because like I would constantly hold myself to this like, oh, I'm supposed to be here, and if I would have done what I was supposed to do, then like this would have happened. But not only did like I hold myself to that standard or whatever, not only did I constantly compare myself to that space that I wasn't in, but I would also like discount and disregard all the very real reasons why I wasn't there. Like I would never give myself the compassion to consider what I was going through. You know what I mean? And ooh, it was toxic to me. Like I cried when I had that realization because I was like, wow, I can't believe I've been doing that to myself this whole time. Like, and this was after that whole 2020. Like, I'm not going to abandon my shadow. Like, I'm not going to abandon a part of me just because I think I have to get better in life or whatever. I was like, no, like I'm gonna work to make my life what I desire it to be, and I'm gonna take that part of me with me. No part of Patrick left behind. Hello, but I feel like maybe last year was like a lot of, or it had a few like realizations, like post autumnus realizations, and this year has been like the putting those into action, or like the doing and the being. So what awaits? We'll start with Eris, and then we'll do Sacrum. Eris 23. Copper. Fertility, the womb, Venus. Oof. Ah. In ancient times, on an island called Cyprus, Copper was mined extensively to make vessels and tools. This island is the same fertile ground of Aphrodite, the goddess associated with the planet Venus and the forces of love, pleasure, and fertility. Such is the magic of copper. So, this Venus fertility with this sweet sugar, okay, all right, I'm not mad at it. I was a little concerned because I'm like, copper. This golden hued metal after this yellowing, interesting. This golden hued metal elicits delight and mystique, even a sense of awe. The copper card marks the arrival of Eros into the laboratory. It is likely the alchemist has been hard at work for too long, prioritizing scholarly pursuits over sensual pleasure. Get ready for a shift of priorities, for an awakening of the heart and the life generating centers of the body. In the true alchemical experiment, nothing is excluded or separate from the work. Bring sensuality into the fold and embrace it with reverence and curiosity. Aphrodite smiles upon you. And Sacrum number 31. Sacrum, sacral, what? I'm just sorry. Anyway, Sacrum is sacred sweetness, pleasure, and attraction. Oh, how sugar dances on the tongue. That's funny because I've been like, my sugar intake is reduced right now. It's a solidarity thing with a buddy who's like doing a whole bunch of stuff that I was already like feeling like I needed to do slash wanted to do anyway. So it was kind of an excuse for me to get started with it. It was also like a solidarity thing, like I said. Oh, how sugar dances on the tongue. No matter how intellectual and scholarly our pursuits, sugar reminds us of our longing for simple pleasures. That's interesting. That word simple. Until the 12th century, our need for sweetness, it is after all one of the five essential tastes in Ayurveda, was fulfilled by raw honey offered by the bees. This material had many medicinal properties and was known in alchemy as a sacred elixir. Now, most of our sources of sweetness, both literally and metaphorically, are highly processed, defined for us by a culture of consumption. This card is a call to explore the simple sweetness in life. Can you add tenderness to your alchemical experiment? Oh, wow! I feel like I'm being called out. Low key, high key, mid key, call me out. Can you add sweetness to your alchemical experiment? How about joy or even laughter? It is likely the pleasure you crave will not be found from manufactured means, but from the childlike wonder residing in the heart. Remember the alchemical wisdom of like attracts like. That's very interesting, actually. Now, this, the uncreated and creatum, number 48 is very, 43, sorry, is very interesting. 34 just came out. What's 34? Hold on. Because I know I've seen 34 in this deck. 34 is Akatum vinegar. Oh, finally some sweetness after all that acidity. Okay. Oh, look, it's right here. This is the unconceived, the seed of the seed. There was a time when everyone you know was not yet born, when every city was yet to be named, when your favorite song was yet to be sung. Such is the energy of Increatum. This card indicates the subtle but profound force that summons all that will be into existence. This most sacred of formulas cannot be manufactured. This cannot be manufactured while Sacrum is like, get away from what is manufactured. Oof. This card indicates the subtle but profound force that summons all that will be into existence. This most sacred of formulas cannot be manufactured, contained, bought, or sold. It is the pure intelligence of creation, pulsing at the door of reality. Its timing is precise, and it is happening now. Do not delay. Send an invitation to the uncreated. Allow it to formulate and gestate. Soon a sketch, a map, or a name will draw itself upon your mind. Envision and believe. The architecture of the future is within you. All ground is fertile. Life begets life. So these two are the introduction to this energy. The fertility of copper with the unmanufactured raw sweetness of sacrum, leading to increatum, the uncreated. And it's funny because I had a dream when I was in a very dark point, when I was in a very dark place in my life. Um, I had a dream one night, and I just thought about that dream recently. I feel like within the past few days. And one of the things that I've been noticing in the past few weeks and in the past month, it's that a lot of what I had sort of envisioned for myself in the future, it's like it was never necessarily immediate. But one of the things that I've sort of realized in the past month or a few weeks to a month is that, like, there were things that I was drawn to or things that I would sort of like go after before that didn't really lead there. That didn't really go where I wanted to go. And it's like, I guess it's like in the long run, like near the end of my life, I would have liked to have done or been here, there, or somewhere in the neighboring area. And it's almost like that wouldn't have happened where I was going. Which is why it's like it's interesting again, because like there were some things that I sort of let go. There were things I didn't necessarily hold on to, but it's interesting that I find myself circling back to some of those things. And but I guess the truth in those things was that like even when I was in the space that I was in, there are things that I dreamed without limitation. And so the reason why I kept reading was like to see if it would give this any context, and I think it did. Because I think 2021 was like the beginnings of the birth of some of this stuff within me. After all of this culmination, after like the framework has sort of been set, it's like the foundation is solid. Now we can begin expanding. And that was this Lucosis lightning. This year is most definitely the yellowing. And then it goes from this yellowy color to this golden hued copper. And there's even like gold in sacrum. But I guess one of the I go back here or here with the wisdom and waiting that led me to the allow the world to be rewritten. And then the uncreated is here, knocking on the door of reality, pulsing, waiting for that womb through which it can be born. So I guess I can't afford to be as lazy and procrastinate as much. The Shark and the Five of Pentacles still at the bottom of these decks. I feel like the shark is pretty much an apex predator in the water, right? And with this Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here, it's like with the uncreated, there's this swelling or this surge that's happening on the other side that hasn't yet manifested into my experience. And it's not that it hasn't, because it very much so is beginning to. I love these cards at the bottom of the deck. King of Pentacles, Father of Pentacles, Justice, Death, Mother of Cups, the Hermit, the Sun, and the Five of Pentacles. Oh. That I don't know what that song is. Da, 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 da. Come on, get happy. It's a phase of life that I can just enjoy. That's what's coming. And it's sweet and it's full of love and it's exactly what I wanted and more. And that's the reason like why I sort of went back and why I did this, because like I said, it's like it required so much of everything that I've experienced on this journey to get me to the point not only where I can fully realize and recognize that some of the opportunities that are being presented to me are exactly what I want, but it's also taken all of this to give me the courage and the strength to actually take it and to not self sabotage and like run away. Because that was literally the end of 2021 was me like wanting to run. November 2021, December 2021. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. As soon as the year starts, everything is it's gonna go downhill. And boy, did it. I mean, it didn't go downhill, but everything basically at the start of the year, it kicked off. And not only did that kick off, I had to deal with whoever I was dealing with too. But because of all that, it's given me an opportunity to be things that I would never choose to be. It's given me an opportunity to do things that I would never choose to do. But because I had to and because I did, because I didn't run away, again, it's like everything that I desired, to exaggerate a little bit. And again, we'll live life, we'll find out, we'll see. It bodes very well. But I would have gotten in my way so hardcore. That's why that Ten of Swords was necessary. The Ten of Swords is actually one of my favorite cards in the Ten of Swords is probably my favorite minor, and the Hanged Man and the Moon are like two of my favorite majors. Because I'm weird, I guess. But the Ten of Swords is one of my favorites because it signifies the end of something. It's not pretty. It's kind of graphic, fairly gruesome. But it's because of that we get to experience more. That we get to experience a hope instead of just a fear. Or at least in my experience, that's how it's going. But that Fool and that Ace of Cups, oof. I'm glad for the Xanthosis. Okay. So I guess I'll get final cards and I'll end this. It still ended up being like an hour and a half, but that's fine. And we'll see. We'll see. I will. It's it's fine. I mean, maybe we will, maybe we won't. You never know. Man, it's just like I don't know. I feel like that scripting thing it works. And my mom was like, even the Bible says like write it down, like write down the vision, make it plain or whatever. I wrote down what I wanted work to be able to get. Like I wanted to be able to help those that I care about, my loved ones. I wanted to be able to like donate, and I wanted to be able to travel at least twice a year. And there's some other stuff that I wanted. And I got a lot of what I wanted. Probably should have been a little bit more clear on like how much I want to work or what kind of work environment. But details, those weren't necessary. And then I wrote down some other stuff, and it's like, wow, like, okay, is this for Rosingtons? Like, is this happening? The lightning and the uncreated was just at the cut, which is interesting because it feels like the lightening and then autumnus and the uncreated and creatum. Um, it feels like that whitening actually cleared the canvas for something new to be painted and created. But the slate had to be cleaned first. Do 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 do. Come on, get happy. All right, final. Sure, why not? We'll take it. 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 Who is this? Mortifactio? Mortifactio. Mortification number 68. The card that came out is Autumnus. Again. Let's read Mortifactio. Where did I put the book? I feel like it's right in front of me. And I just don't see it. Oh, here it is. Kizzy Cut. Hola. I mean, it's only been an hour and 21 minutes, but hi, how are you? You come when you are meant to. We all do. Excuse me. 68. Hold up. LX. Oh, this is XL. That's 40. 68 LXVII. Rotatio is 59. Mortifactio. This is decay, death, and decomposition. The death that was. Where is death? Oh, it's at the bottom of the deck. The Sun, the Hermit, the Mother of Cups, death, and then justice. Yeah. The death that precedes justice. Mortifactio is the great alchemical operation of darkness. What was once composed now decomposes. What was once presentable is now despicable. This stage cannot be avoided. The underworld has taken us into the dark interior of its belly, and here we reside until spring. Through the natural process of decay, we descend into depths we didn't know existed. The alchemist soon finds Mortifactio is a stage of regeneration and sacred power, where the soil is fertile and rich, offering nourishment for tomorrow. This stage cannot be rushed. The darkness must have time to do its work, to dismantle and to loosen, to free us from old scripts and stories. As we learn to surrender to this great operation, the earth churns and wisdom whispers in the dark. She envelops us with grace and the promise of what's to come. This feels like, and then it's still autumn. It's not even spring. We still got to go through the winter before we hit spring. Um, but that's just like, it really makes me think of all of the challenging aspects of this year, of the past year of my life in particular, and how I've been, because of the challenge, I've been granted an opportunity to overcome again things that otherwise I would never necessarily overcome. Like, there were opportunities to do things and to be things that I was not looking for. But it makes me think of this Ten of Swords and the Five of Wands. It's like, and that's why it's dark, because it's like there are some times where we go through things and we don't know what the outcome is going to be. We don't know how it's actually preparing us for something later. But when the spring comes, it's like, again, like this is creating, it's almost like the foundation is already sort of created, right? But Mortifactio, it's like the foundation is the earth, is the soil. Mortifactio is the richness of it, so that when you plant the seed in the spring, you'll have something to harvest by the time autumn comes around. So maybe with the autumn already being here, it's like there are things even now that can be harvested. And it's just the beginning. And these things will lead to more things. And it's just like it's so, and especially because of sacrum and whatever copper was. I already forgot. Because of copper and sugar, it was so much of just like enjoy the moment for what it is now. And that's it. Go for what is sweet now. Okay. I mean, I can do these. I mean, I've been in the process of. Again, shout out to Remy and my journey buddy for the assist. Also, shout out to basically everybody that I've met along my path, journey, and way. Because again, it's like it's highlighting and illuminating so many things. It's like it was all necessary for me to see what I see and to enjoy what I enjoy in these moments. Exciting things lie ahead. Oof. Sometimes I do feel sorry for my little spirit guides, ancestors, and whoever, because like I said, I'm super stubborn. I was like, I will 10 of Wands my own journey because this is what I want. How wrong I was. It's not about being wrong or right, because again, every part, every phase, every moment, every time was important. And it's because of those that I can hold the appreciation that I do now. And it's also because of those that I can really be sort of like surprised, I guess, at the effortlessness of some things or at the ease at which some things just sort of like come in. 4 of Wands. Come on, get happy. Well worth the wait. The wisdom in waiting, it's because it's worth it. Empress. I mean, I can. Let me stop. Empress in death. Okay, we'll give it one more. Just stop trying to micromanage them. My theory is that anyone who works with me knows who I am and how I am, and if they're not up to the task, well, they can keep moving. Until I'm like, oh my gosh, like you were right, they were right. What? Wow. I feel like we have a solid relationship. Ooh, speaking of a solid relationship, 10 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands. All right. Oh no, I already took a brick earlier. I'm not taking another one, please. Thank you. I'm kidding. I feel like we have a good time. The Star. Thank you. Bottom of the deck is the 6 of Wands. Luke's ex Tenebris, from darkness, light. And then the Star. The Star. This is actually a Leo card. Who in Leo? I don't know. Come on, get happy. The Star feels like both of these feel like it's like to be seen. I'm not seeing this star like I did before. I almost used to see this star as it like resting on a bed of light, but now it's in the sky. Huh. You're the one that makes me feel so high, just like a diamond in the sky. Okay. Um, Star, Six of Wands, like the fulfillment of the wish is the reward for the work that was done. Six of Wands and the star. And it's like you deserve it. You work for this. You deserve it. The fox and the shark. Oh, look, the horse again. Excuse me. This was kind of like a self read, Kirsty. Me going through my short journey. Like, it feels like it's been long, but it's also been short. Like, it's only been since 20. I mean, I'll be what, 4 years old? My second birthday. Is that a. Oh, okay. Well, one of those is a tarantula, and I don't necessarily want to read it, but I guess we will. Oh, the cosmic egg keeps coming out. The owl's at the bottom of the deck. The tarantula for me is one of those cards that reads as like very individuality because the tarantula is like a big spider, but it's not just like a spider, right? I guess tarantula for me is like Aquarius in that way almost. Tarantula is the one that's like, I'm not like other spiders. You know what I mean? And with the cosmic egg, there's like such an energy of nonconformity here. But just because it doesn't necessarily conform to a standard or whatever, doesn't mean that it has to like, it doesn't make it above, below, or whatever another. It's not any better, it's not any worse, it's just different. And just because it's different doesn't mean that it can't find community. Doesn't mean that it can't find anything that anybody else can find. It's to not shy away from that difference, but to also not shy away from the desire of that sweetness. That sweetness. Take me to where you are, what you'll become, and what you will do when I am gone. Anyway, I don't want to read the tarantula, even though I already read it, so we'll keep going. I don't feel like it's it. Maybe that was it. Dragonfly. Dragonfly is starting to pop up all the time too. And eagle. Dragonfly and eagle are the ones that are like, oh, we're here. And then the phoenix. It's because there's something special brewing within me. Just like there's something special brewing within you. It's about birthing it into the world. Okay, oh, this is so like wibbly wobbly. This is the other side of that cloth, by the way. The purple sparkly side is the other one. All right, no bias if tarantula comes out again, and it will if it wants to. Trust me. Tarantula is always the card. I'm like, how do I read this? And then it comes out. I'm like, maybe I should get the book, and I don't get the book, and then the tarantula comes out, and I'm like, I should have got the book. The shark is here. The shark and the mouse. Interesting, because these two cards came out yesterday. The mouse was on the side of Fane. The shark was on the no. The mouse was on the side of Yarna. The shark was on the side of Fane. It's actually very, very powerful, but it seems very meek, modest mouse. Bottom of the deck is the earthworm. It's funny that the earthworm is here because that's the reason why I'm pretty sure that's the reason why I took the crow as a predator. I was like, I'm gonna look for the first predator animal I can find. And I was like, well, crows eat worms, like birds eat worms, so that makes them predators, right? If it's not grass, then it's a predator, or if it's not a flower, then it's a predator. If it doesn't photosynthesize, then that makes a predator, or predator makes. The shark, the mouse almost looks like the star, but the mouse is below the star because the star was up here, like I think it was above the sparklies. Yeah, see, the star is like up amongst the sparklies, but the sparklies are above the mouse. I think this is very much like with the mouse and the shark together. It gives me almost tiger energy. It's like to be both the mouse and the shark. Or it's the crocodile. Who's at the bottom of the deck again? Oh yeah, the earthworm. Who's behind the earthworm? The black egg. And the cobra. Beaver, the wolf, the vulture. Oh, that's all the elements. Earth, ether, fire, water, earth, air. So two earth in the earthworm and the wolf. I get what it is. I get it. And since this is a personal read, I don't have to tell you. Oof, it's a little bit of that leucosis into xanthosis energy. I'm just like, how about that though? Anyway, if you sat through this, I hope you find something of use, I guess, to you. Or I was just like, thanks for like listening to my story or whatever. I'm definitely down for the sweetness. Like, I've been not craving sugar, but like I could go for a little bit of sugar. You know what I mean? I'm excited for everything that's happening and unfolding. And again, another thing, it's like I really thought that I would have had to leave to find opportunity. But I guess I found out that I didn't. Just because I didn't have to leave to find it doesn't mean that I don't necessarily want to, but I don't know. There's a very like maybe just to trust the knowing. Again, it was like that, just like go with it. Follow what is sweet right now. And I guess that's interesting. It's interesting how that dynamic within me has sort of flipped. Because no matter how much I might think and overthink and then rethink, like I know that I'm gonna do the thing that leads to that sweetness. Just like in the past, it was like no matter how like optimistic or how much effort I put forth or how proactive I was, I always knew like when it came down to it, I wouldn't take the opportunity because I was scared, because I was afraid, because I wasn't yet ready to be in and face the world. But it's like the opposite is true now. And that's interesting. no matter what happens, by this point, I know I'm going to do the thing that leads to the growth, the healing, the actualization of that growth and healing. And so, I guess, as one of my new friends would say, I could shortcut the entire process by not making it unnecessarily difficult. I could just do it at the jump. I could like just not procrastinate it, right? He gives good advice. I think I might listen. I'm pretty sure I will listen. Not only does he give good advice, but again, anyway. I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that even if some of the stuff doesn't make sense in the present moment, that you can allow yourself to continue to be led and guided, that you can allow yourself to continue to trust and develop and hone your intuition and discernment, and that you get where you want to go. So, thank you, Kirsty. Thank you. I appreciate it. I would say you too, but you're probably just waking up, so you won't be going to bed yet. Thank you. Good night, or morning, or afternoon, or whatever, whenever you see this video.